بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. We have got into the subsection of al-Ghusl, or the major tahara, major purification. فصل. يجب الغسل من ثلاثة أشياء: الجنابة والحيض والنفاس. Ghusl is obligatory after three things. The first one is al-Janaba, which is a state of impurity that happens after intercourse or other intercourse-related actions. Wal-Hayli, which is menstrual bleeding. Wal-Nifas, which is postpartum bleeding or bleeding that happens after the delivery of a child. Now, al-Hayd wal-Nifas are two complicated topics that have many conditions and different scenarios, and so he mentions them later on his own. He's simply mentioning them here because it should be known that they fall under the ruling of necessitating ghusl after they happen. Instead, here we'll go into the details of al-janaba and then al-ghusl. فالجنابة قسمان: أحدهما خروج المني بلذة معتادة في نوم أو يقظة بجماع أو غيره. Janaba is two categories. The first category happens with the discharge of mani, or seminal fluid, بلذة معتادة, with a regular desire or a regular pleasure, meaning the discharge of al-mani due to sickness, due to a random event that provoke this discharge, such as, for example, riding on a camel, or the ulama would give examples in their books that seem strange, but they are included in the books because they happen at some point or another. For example, they will give an example of someone who had hot water or boiling water fall on him, and so as a result, discharge was released. So any random event that unexpectedly leads to a discharge of mani due to, something wrong in the body, sickness or some injury, or anything that is not pleasureful or sexual in nature, would not necessitate ghusl. Rather, it would only necessitate wudu and to wash the mani off. This is in a state of being awake. If it's in a state of being awake, then it is limited to al-ladha al-mu'tada, a regular or a normal desire or pleasure. And he says, في نوم أو يقظة. So al-Akhdari is giving a ruling that is different from the mashhur position. He's saying that a regular pleasure in sleep or in an awake state. And the mashhur position is that in a state of sleep, there is no requirement for there to be ladha mu'tada, a regular desire or pleasure. Rather, any discharge of mani while sleeping necessitates also. Now, what is a desire or a pleasure during sleep? This usually refers to dreams. Some people will dream, and in that dream they are having intercourse, or they're having some kind of form of intimacy. If this happens in sleep, it does not matter what happened in the dream. What matters is there a discharge of mani? Meaning, someone could wake up and there could be mani. He could have discharged mani. This necessitates ghusl regardless of whether or not this happened due to a dream. He could wake up without any dream of this sort, and he could still have mani on him, and this will necessitate ghusl. As opposed to someone who has this kind of dream. He has a sexual dream, and then he wakes up, but there is no mani, then he does not have to do ghusl. And the reason is, the only factor that is considered in a state of sleep is whether or not there is mani when he wakes up. Whether or not he has a dream in which he's doing in which he's being intimate, is not a relevant factor to whether or not he has to do ghusl. So, in a state of sleep, the discharge of mani necessitates ghusl absolutely in every scenario. Whereas in a state of being awake, it only necessitates ghusl if it comes with a state of regular desire or a state of regular pleasure. والثاني, so the second category is مغيب الحشفة في الفرج ومن رأى في منامه كأنه جامع ولم يخرج منه مني فلا شيء عليه. So the second category is مغيب الحشفة. The hashafa is the head or the top part of the male organ. And we say maghib, or the absence of the hashafa, the absence meaning that it is no longer seen, meaning it is inserted into a woman, regardless of whether it's permissible or not, whether it's zina or not, whether it's from the front or the back, because as we all know, intercourse from the back is impermissible according to the consensus of the Muslims. The absence of the hashafa would necessitate ghusl, even if it does not lead to a discharge of mani. So the first category is the discharge of mani. The second category is the absence of the hashafa. And this would necessitate ghusl for the person doing it and the person it is being done to, regardless of either side discharging mani or not. And then he says, وَمَنْ رَأَى فِي مَنَامِهِ. So this is what we already said. Whoever sees in his dream that it is as if he is having intercourse, however, there is no mani discharged, then there is فَلَا شَيْءَ عَلَيْهِ. There is nothing on, meaning there is no ghusl obligatory upon. ومن وجد في ثوبه منيا يابسا لا يدري متى أصابه اغتسل وأعاد ما صلى من آخر نومة نامها فيه. Whoever wakes up, or whoever, no, not whoever wakes up, whoever finds hardened mani on his clothes and he does not know when it got there, then he does ghusl and he repeats every obligatory prayer since the last time he slept. Because the assumption being made here is that this mani was discharged during the last time he slept. And that, in essence, is the summary of al-Janaba. And then we have al-Ghusl, how to remove the state of Janaba. فصل فرائض الغسل النية عند الشروع والفور والدلك والعموم. So the obligatory actions of al-Ghusl. The ghusl, or washing the entire body, has very similar conditions to wudu. The first one is an-niyyatu 'inda ash-shuru', the intention when beginning, meaning the intention of this this bath or this shower or this ghusl must be the ghusl of janaba. It must be the purification from the state of janaba. And it cannot be after the fact, as some other fuqaha state. It has to be when the ghusl is being done. So someone who, for example, takes a shower for no specific reason, and then 10 hours later, he remembers he's in a state of janaba, he cannot say, oh, it doesn't matter because I just did ghusl 10 hours ago. No, the intention must be present during the action itself and not after the fact. It is also permissible for someone to have two intentions in one ghusl. For example, the one who wants to do ghusl al-Jum'ah, the sunnah of the Friday, which is the sunnah of the Friday prayer, which is to do ghusl before the prayer. He can also, in the same ghusl, wash away the state of janaba. But the intention must be present for both at the beginning. He cannot do, for example, ghusl al-Jum'ah, and then after he has finished, have the intention of it being also ghusl al-Janaba. So whether or not he wants to have multiple intentions, regardless in any scenario, he needs to have the intention of ghusl al-Janaba during the action and not after the fact. والفور والفور is, or also called al-muwala, is, as we mentioned also in wudu, that it is to be completed in a specific time frame, which is defined by the time frame in which the body would dry up in a regular temperature in a regular location. Meaning one cannot do a ghusl of half of his body and then do a ghusl of the other half 3 hours later. Rather, it must be done in a, you know, it must be done within the same time frame. وَالدَّلْكُ. And so again, similar to wudu, simply putting your body under water is not sufficient. There must be a, الدلك is to massage or to rub. Now the difference here between wudu and ghusl is that in wudu it must be done with the inside of the hand. In ghusl, it does not necessarily need to be done with the inside of the hand. Rather, any part of the body will do. In addition to that, using something like a washcloth or a loofah would also be sufficient. وَالْعُمُومُ. Al-umum means to be general, meaning the wash needs to be general, meaning it needs to cover the entire body. The entire body here is defined by ظاهر الجسد, or the apparent part of the body, not the inside, such as the inside of your mouth and the inside of your nose. ظاهر الجسد means your head, your abdomen, your arms, your legs, your feet, and the ears. So this wash must be done on the entire body from the outside, ظاهر الجسد, the apparent part of the body. And another difference here between wudu and between ghusl is, we mentioned already that in ghusl there is no differentiation between a thick and a thin beard. Rather, in ghusl, both beards, regardless, there must be takhil, there must be a movement of the hand on the beard to make sure that the water is reaching the skin. Similarly, for hair, it must be made sure that the water is reaching the skin. And it's done by, dabbing the hair and making sure that the water is reaching the scalp. وسننه غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين كالوضوء والمضمضة والاستنشاق. So it's sunan, again similar to wudu. The sunan of al-ghusl is غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين, washing the hands till the ku'ain. We said the ku' is here. So washing the hands is a sunnah. والمضمضة, rinsing the mouth is the sunnah. والاستنشاق والاستنثار, so breathing water into your nose. And then al-istinthar, getting it out using the thumb and pointer finger of your left hand and blowing out the water from your nose. Also a sunnah, just like wudu. وغسل سماخ الأذن وهي الثقبة الداخلة في الرأس. So washing the deep part of your ear. So deep inside, or the hole in your ear, as it's simply known. It's also a sunnah to wash it, as opposed to the inside of the ear and the outside. Meaning, this apparent part of your ear, the inside of the ear and the outside of the ear are from ظاهر الجسد, and it is obligatory to wash them. So, okay, the inside and the outside of your ear. At the very deep hole is a sunnah to wash, and it is recommended that he does not exaggerate as to not hurt himself. وفضائله البداية بغسل النجاسة ثم الذكر فينوي عنده ثم أعضاء الوضوء مرة. So, الفضائل, the recommended actions. البداية بغسل النجاسة ثم الذكر فينوي عنده. So, starting off with washing off the najasa, meaning washing off the mani, any seminal fluid should be washed off in the beginning, as to not later get on another part of the body which was already washed and would necessitate repeating that part of the ghusl. It is recommended to start with it, and then to wash the dhakar. The male organ should be washed off as well. And this is to not break your wudu if you leave it till the end. Because if you leave it to the end and you just finish the ghusl and then you touch it with the inside of your hand, this is a nullifier of wudu, as we already mentioned. So it is recommended to start with it, or to do it as part of the beginning, as to not, and to have the intention of washing it as part of the ghusl, as to not nullify your wudu if you leave it to the very end. So the recommended actions, starting off with washing the najasa and then washing the sexual organs. And that is where we will stop off for now, and we will continue with the recommended actions next time. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.